Thank you all so much for coming this evening to the Scranton Project closing ceremony. We are closing out Women History Month with Dr. Kiba Rogers. Such a great way to close this out. So excited to be closing this out with Dr. Rogers as our last speaker. I want you all to know that this event will be partially recorded. And by joining, you give consent to be recorded. So I wanted to make sure you all knew that. Now, when we say partially recorded, when Dr. Rogers is speaking, we're going to go ahead and record the session. When we're in our small groups and large group discussion, we're going to pause the recording because we don't want to capture any vulnerable moments or sensitive moments or anything like that. And we want to have some sense of privacy when it comes to that. So Dr. Rogers and I decided that we would partially record it just in case people want some of the key nuggets from her session. And so we're very glad to be able to do that. I want to welcome you all this evening. My name is Dr. Vicky T. Sapp. I am the Director of Community Health Initiatives for the Black Scranton Project, and it's a community volunteer position. And I am so excited about the great things that the Black Scranton Project has for the city of Scranton as well as Northeast Pennsylvania. I work at Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, hence the background that you see. And I serve as a director for student engagement, diversity, and inclusion, an assistant professor. And what I am responsible for in that role is looking at the professional identity formation, cultural humility curriculum. And I have different series that I put on for our medical students. And I see that some of you are here this evening, and I'm so excited to know that you have been able to attend these events and you are more than welcome. And I'm hoping that we'll see some of you to volunteer for the Black Scranton Project once we get the building in place and we have some good news that it will be coming soon. So I wanted to take this time to introduce you all to our president and CEO, Glennis Johns. She is the founder of the Black Scranton Project, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, local heritage initiative, and public history venture dedicated to archiving and celebrating Black history of Scranton and Northeast Pennsylvania. Glennis spends much of her time studying 19th and 20th century African American history, 19th, African American history. She is a native of Scranton, local historian, sociologist, artist, documentarian, and advocate. Glennis spends a lot of her time researching Scranton in an attempt to piece together narratives of Black community. She is proud to shift local perspectives on culture, inclusion, representation, and history. For Glennis, passions and projects are indistinguishable from each other. She received her BA and MA in sociology at St. John's University. She was highlighted in the March 2020 issue of Happening magazine as one of the most influential women in Napa, and Napa Business Journal's top 20 under 40 young business professionals. She was a 2019 honoree. I am so excited to spend time with her, to work with her, and now to serve on the board for the Black Scranton Project and to know that we have great things coming. She was not able to be with us today, so we're going to just introduce you to her and say, if you are a student in the Scranton, PA area, please look into doing volunteer work for the Black Scranton Project. I'm sorry, did someone say something? Okay. So I've already explained what the Black Scranton Project does. Our core values are to make sure that we are respectful, we have integrity, we are transparent, we collaborate, and there's been a number of collaboration initiatives. We are fearless in what we do. We are accepting, and we definitely want to show leadership. So if you're interested in working with us, please let us know. It's my honor to introduce our speaker. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Dr. Rogers and let her do her thing. Dr. Rogers has been an enthusiastic mental health professional for more than 15 years and has assisted children, adolescents, adults, and families in working together effectively in promotion of their mental health, well, of their mental, emotional, and social health and well-being. This is accomplished through case-based clinical work with clients, as well as consultation, collaboration, and training with key stakeholders in their lives, and innovative work with administrative systems to enhance community engagement in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dr. Kiba Dr. Kiba's area of specialty include helping communities move from a focus on transactional diversity to transformative inclusion, and working with clients who have experienced trauma, have emotional and behavioral disorders, learning disabilities, are marginalized, belong to historically underserved and underrepresented groups, and or are limited by institutional barriers. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kiba Rogers.
And the crowd goes wild.
But we have some reactions for that. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here. So a couple of things. One, every time I hear that bio read, I am like, oh my goodness. But then I say to myself, but it's all true though. So I can't really be mad. Um, but also, I usually, when I have any sort of presentation that I give, I like to start with a mindfulness activity. So, in a moment, we're going to start that. But I want to tell you a few things about this evening first. So, first things first, I am going to be vacillating between American Standard English and the African American vernacular. It's important for you to know that. So there will be some terms and sayings that I might throw out. And if you don't know, just look it up in Urban Dictionary. Also, I noticed that many of you are not on camera, and this is not to like throw shade at you, but because we are such a small group, if it is possible, after our 3 minutes of mindfulness, hi Amy, if it is possible, hey Peoria, um, if you can please turn your camera on, but that's more because this is, I'm hoping that this is more of a intimate discussion. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to feel that way when I'm looking at boxes of names. So if you are able to do that after our mindfulness, please do so. But if you're not, that's okay. I won't like call you out. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our 3 minutes of mindfulness. I'm going to play some music for a little bit, 4 to 3 minutes. And what I'd like you to do, because this is talking about self-care, right? I want you to really engage in this 3 minutes of mindfulness. What that means is I'm asking you during this time to take a few deep breaths. While you're doing that, I want you to think about things, people, places that really feel to you like they enhance your self-care. I want you to just spend a few moments in that space. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Wait. I forgot to share the sound. So I'll see you in 3 minutes. Is everybody here?
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that that brought you into a space of calm and focus on hello, thanks for turning your cameras on, of, you know, really thinking about and getting to the mode of self-care. So one announcement I forgot to tell you is this is going to, hey Carmel, this is going to be, um, it's okay, Tanya. It's gonna be kind of a working session. So I'm gonna tell you what it's not going to be first, before I tell you what we're gonna do. So I decided to take a little bit of a different route from what I normally do as a psychologist when people ask me to talk about self-care. Normally, I go through, you know, the run-of-the-mill list of things that we all have seen on every blog and in every newspaper, everywhere. And I tell you, like, here are some things that you should do, right? To try to incorporate these things, do the things, all of them, right? We're not doing that today. Okay. Today, we're gonna have a real serious conversation about self-care. Why self-care? Why is it important? And also how to realistically try to engage in more self-care, right? I'm not gonna tell you that. You're gonna tell me that. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. Let me go ahead and get my presentation going. I'm going to, you know, go through my slides. We're going to kind of start in a few moments, right, with the first activity. But I want to let you know that if there are questions throughout, or if you have comments, feel free to. You don't have to wait for me to stop. You can feel free to chime in. Hi, Tanya. Okay, let me go ahead and this started. All right, so mental health matters, the importance of putting self-care on your to-do list, okay? So we just did our 3 minutes of mindfulness. In a moment, we're gonna do just a few quick poll questions and some discussion. And then I'm going to frame for you this discussion, right? Which means I'm gonna tell you about what my theoretical framework is, where I'm coming from when I talk about self-care, all right? And why does this topic continue to be important? Why is everybody talking about self-care? Why do we keep talking about it? And then how can you realistically incorporate self-care into your daily life? And of course, questions, which, you know, it's customary to put that at the end, but like I said, throughout, you feel free to comment and or ask questions. So we'll go right into, I think I have to stop sharing, right, Dr. Sapp? In order for you to do the poll?
No, you don't have to.
Oh, I don't? Oh, okay.
Just tell me when to initiate the poll. I'll initiate it.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Poll number 1, launched. Do any of you keep a to-do list? We have 8 people on the call, 8 people responded. Yes, they do.
Dr. Theoria says multiple to-do lists.
Okay. Do you want me to go through all 3 of the polls? How do you want to do that?
Yes, okay. Please.
So the next poll, number 2, do any of you complete 100% of the items on your to-do list in the allotted time? Wonderful. 4 of 8, 5 of 8. All right, wonderful, wonderful. We got 8 people total. 1 person said yes, 7 people said no. I am the host and cannot vote, and mine would be no times 2. Next poll. Do any of you complete 50% of the items on your to-do list in the allotted time? 50%. We have 3 of 8, 5 of 8, 3 more weighing in. What you have, one more. Yes, thank you for that. All right. We have 6 people who indicated 6. Yes, they complete at least 50%, and 2 people in the no. I'm going to vote in the no too. And I'll just do it times 1.
Yeah, I'm in that category as well. I'm getting better though at being more realistic in my to-do list. Okay, so the reason why I asked those questions is because I want us to really think about the way in which we organize our day, our week, how like, for instance, I use to-do lists that have daily goals, but they also have weekly goals. So that's why the question was in the allotted time. I didn't want to make the assumption that people are using daily goals. So if we think about our to-do list and we think about, putting self-care on our to-do list, then let's tackle the to-do list. So what are the things, which categories are the things in that do not get completed? Right. So the next activity is a whiteboard activity, and there's some categories listed. And I want you to really think about your to-do list and be honest with, what are the things that are consistently being left off? They're not getting done. And they're, continuing to roll over to the next day or roll over to the next week or whatever, to the next version of your to-do list.
So I believe that everyone knows how to get to the whiteboard, but if you do not know how to get to the whiteboard, you're going to go to your viewing Dr. Sapp's screen. You're going to click on that to bring down the view options. From the view options, you're going to select annotate. Once you select annotate, you're going to get the stamp. You're going to put a check. You're going to put a heart. You're going to put a, so this is which ones don't get completed. Wonderful. Some people are drawing the check. Some people have you can go right to stamp. It'll give you a check mark. Or you could actually put an X mark.
It looked like oh, I see somebody still working. Okay. Okay, what are you struggling with, Carmel?
Where am I? Oh, is it this little pen here? That's it?
Yes.
Oh, duh. Okay, got it.
Oh, I thought you meant the actual question.
Oh, no, not struggling with the question, but I didn't know how to put the checks. Now I got it. Okay.
Great. And I just realized, Tanya, I called you Tanya earlier. I'm sorry. It's a force of habit when I see the name spelled out. So I just wanted to apologize for that. Hello, Tanya. Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I've never done this. I've never done this on my phone before. So
that's okay. That's okay. All right. So, all right, everybody take a look at these lists. And what is something that just right off the bat we notice about, what gets done, what doesn't typically get done?
The stuff we don't get paid for.
The stuff you don't get paid for is the stuff that doesn't get done or gets done?
Personal and house are the nobody pays us to do those things, but it feels like work.
What about our kids and our spouse? What's interesting about that?
That, for the most part, it gets taken care of.
Mm.
What if you don't have a spouse? I got an X on that.
That part, I don't.
Y'all are a mess. Y'all are-
Not applicable.
so,
I don't got any babies either, so,
but here's what's interesting.
but I will.
Kid's spouse, right? Somehow those things are getting done at a more regular rate than personal, which is the longest. It looks like almost everyone put a check mark in the personal box, right? Which is why you're here tonight. And then also house is kind of hard, and sometimes work as well. But you guys you're partying because social is getting done. Y'all take care of those tasks. It's either that or it's not even on the list. So y'all gonna have to tell me what that is. All right. So, all right, we're all set with this, Dr. Sapp. Okay. So what I want to do now is just break up into small groups. You're going to be able to choose your room. And I really just want you to think about in the areas where you checked off the most for yourself, that does not get completed. I want you to really think about, because remember I said you were going to work, right? You're going to work. Yeah, I meant that. I want you to really think about what are the challenges to completing those tasks, like the real actual challenges, right? Not the ones that we tell ourselves because we want to feel better, not the ones that, are frivolous, right? But what are the real reasons? The real reasons why we're not completing those categories. So I would say go to the group that you had the most incomplete task in that area, whichever that was for you.
And if you are in that space by yourself, after a few seconds, come back and pick the next one, please.
Yeah. Does anyone have questions before you go? We're just going to spend about 4 minutes in this breakout group. So almost everyone is going to the same one. Can you pause the recording? So, oh, geez. Okay. So I want to frame this discussion so that you know where I'm coming from and kind of what my perspective is and what I am essentially saying, right? But I wanted to do that in a really creative way. So I decided to find some quotes. Sorry, I'm trying to move my my videos out of the way so I can see the quotes. Okay. So I wanted to find some quotes that really speak to what I'm sharing, right? So self-care is self-preservation. And in my opinion, in order for us to really begin to dive deep into why certain things aren't getting done and how do we actually make a change on that front, we have to be able to see self-care as self-preservation, right? And so as Audre Lorde noted, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare, right? So in order for us to be able to be okay, we've got to take care of ourselves. And one more time for the young folks, self-care has to be rooted in self-preservation, not just mimosas and spa days, right? I said young folks because that's from Lizzo. So, really, when we think about self-care and how it is over-marketed, in my opinion, we think about those, mimosas, those spa days, the things that we need to spend money on in order for us to be taking care of ourselves, right? And so it's deeper than that. It's much more about how we make sure that we are okay. You must be a priority, right? So I found what I thought was like the perfect quote for this particular talk. We need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list, right? How do we make ourselves a priority on our list instead of the last thing as Sydney was talking about, you know, instead of the last thing, like, you know, after we've kind of done everything else. And we must accept ourselves as we are. This is important for self-care because if we haven't decided that we love ourselves, then how do we make the time to take care of ourselves? Right? So we have to decide that we are accepting ourselves just as we are. Okay. So, what is self-care? Self-care is being able to breathe, right? Being able to breathe without that feeling of the elephant on your chest. Being able to inhale and fully exhale, right? Without stopping your breath short because you have something else to do, something else to think about, something else to take care of, right? So as a Black woman, I define self-care as the ability to safely and comfortably exhale. This is from a young lady, Bethany Epiphany Bryant, who is a motivational speaker, and I think she's a sociologist. Self-care is learning to thrive. As the elder, Dr. Maya Angelou said, my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. I'm going to repeat that. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, right? We've got to take the S off our chest and decide that we're going to do better by ourselves. I mean better for ourselves. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. I'm still working on the style area, but I think I got the other things covered. Self-care leads to better health outcomes. As Gabrielle Union noted, if you prioritize yourself, you're going to save yourself. That is not drastic at all. That is true. Self-care is leaving when time's up, whatever that means for you, right? So you got to learn to love, you got to learn to leave the table when love's no longer being served. That is by Miss Nina Simone, but that is for anybody who is not loving you, including yourself, right? So you got to learn when it's time to say, okay, no, I can't keep being treated this way. Even if I'm the culprit, I've got to do something different. And self-care allows us to take care of our loved ones, right? When you take better care of yourself, you're a better person for others. When you feel good about yourself, you treat others better, right? And really think about that. Think about the type of care that you are able to give to your loved ones when you don't feel so well, right? Think about some of the feelings that might surface. That might include resentment. That might include anger. That might include sadness, right? Because you don't feel so great. You're not doing so well yourself. But when we are in a place of joy and contentment, we are able to give from that space. And we have a much larger pool to give from when we are not feeling that we're working from a deficit model. So again, why self-care? Now, here's what's interesting. Most of us are out here in the world feeling like this, okay? This is where we are. If we can be honest with ourselves, this is our, if we can walk around like this and not have any consequence, we would, because that's how we feel in the middle of this here pandemic and all the things that are happening right now, right? This little kid speaks to my soul, right? Because I wish I can just be like, you know what? This is where I'm at. Somebody take care of it, right? Somebody do it. Whatever you do it, because I'm done, right? Because that's what this kid is saying. But instead, we walk out in the world, some of us, like this, and we say, oh, I'm a little stressed. Right? Things are a little difficult. It's been kind of rough, right? And it's been a challenge, you know? And then some of us are here, right? We're like, it's not a problem at all. No, not at all. Everything's good. No. No. We're cry laughing, cry smiling. No, it's wonderful. No, what do you mean? No problems here at all, right? And then even further, some of us are like, what are you talking about? What issues? Everything's peachy, right? This is how we live our lives when really we're just trying to get to here. We just want to be happy, right? We're trying to get there. We want to have authentic connections and loving connections where we really can engage with folks. That's what we're trying to get to. We can't get there without great self-care. We can't get there. So, why self-care? Because of stress. Why do we keep talking about this? Because this is what we all wish we could say. I'm just gonna go ahead and speak for the room right now. And if I could have this on a t-shirt and legit just like be like, did you take a look at that today? Like, not answering any extra questions, not doing any extra work, not going into any insufficient meetings, not doing it. Now, clearly, we can't do that because I love a paycheck coming in consistently. So we're not going to do that. But the reality is stress is really impacting us. Now, I wanted to just point out, because every time we talk about stress, I want to make sure that people know that there is, of course, positive stress and negative stress, right? And positive stress really, really encourages us, motivates us. These are the things that, when we're studying for a test, when we're taking a class, we're trying to get something done. It's like motivational because we're feeling a little bit of stress about it, right? This could be moving into a new home, purchasing a new home. This, these are the things that, you have a little stress about it, but it's a short-term thing. And it's like that stress is kind of motivating you because you want to do better. And that's what we call eustress. Distress, however, is stress that really causes that, kind of anxious, worrying feeling. And it can be short or long term. But overall, the reality is you just don't feel good about it, right? It feels like you cannot cope. This is how we get to the stage where we are with the baby and we are just like internally yelling and screaming and having a tantrum because we cannot cope. This is what can lead to not only mental health problems, but physical health problems. Okay, so this is why everybody keeps talking about self-care, right? This is why. Because here's the reality, and this is something that I wish people would say more plainly, so I'm going to say it more plainly now. The reality is stress is at the heart, pun intended, of all of the issues that we tend to see, especially as we're talking about Black women. Most of the issues that we face and that are high on the, kind of cause of death list, like heart disease and stroke, are caused in large part by stress, right? But here's what's great about that. We can actually do something about our stress, right? We can do something about that. Here's the challenge, and this is what, I'm not going to complain about it because I'm a psychologist and I guess in some ways people need to have a little stress in order for me to stay employed. So I'm not going to complain too much, but here's the challenge, right? When I speak to my clients, whether they are children or adults, I, tell them listen, that you have options, right? We have options about the ways in which we manage our stress. Sometimes we feel like we have run out of options. And so because we feel like we've run out of options, we then kind of get into this give up mode, right? And that's what I want to kind of fight against. I want us to really start to think about realistically, how do we really engage in this fight to decrease our stress? How do we do that through self-care? Now, there are many things that are causing us stress. So I don't want to make it seem like if you just manage your self-care, everything will be great, because sometimes our job environments are not the best, right? That's causing us some extra stress. Sometimes we have way too many things that we need to do to produce at work that are just unreasonable. Sometimes we have some other family situations. So I'm not trying to say that the only thing in your life you need to do is self-care, but our topic tonight is in fact self-care. So we're going to focus on that. So I want to tell you about 2 reports that the American Psychological Association did about surrounding the pandemic. So the first report was Stress in America 2020. This report was released in October of 2020, and the survey was completed in August of 2020. And there were some key findings here. This actually, they titled this report a national mental health crisis, because APA has been saying for quite some time now, since this pandemic has been going on, that, hey, this is actually a major issue, and we are going to be kind of digging ourselves out of this for the next several years in terms of the mental health crisis. And of course, to no one's surprise, COVID-19 is a significant stressor. So again, this part of the survey for the 2020 Stress in America 2020 was in August. They released it in October. They also found that the future of our nation was a significant source of stress, right, for the folks that they surveyed. And nearly 1 in 5 adults say that their mental health was worse than it was that time the year before, right? Now, I want you to notice the first line here of Gen Z. Gen Z are the young ones, right? So you can think about that going down age order. Gen Z are the youngins out here. They're struggling, right? A third are like, I don't know, right? This is hard, okay? And it's interesting because I'm not sure if you know this statistic, but about 20% of folks generally in the US struggle with mental illness at some point throughout their life, right? So if that's the case, and that has been the case, that number has been relatively consistent for a number of years, and we can say that within this 1 year, we are at about 20%, an average of adults saying, this is a problem for me, right? This is why this is a mental health crisis, okay? And then when they looked at parents were really struggling, right? And they're saying like, look, this was really hard. I mean, clearly, look at the top line. Children ages 5 to 7. Those of you who are parents of 5 to 7-year-olds, I mean, you deserve all the stars, all the raises, all of the things, because the challenge is how to school your child, do your job, and still run the household, all at home with no air and space to breathe. So this was a major challenge also for 8 to 12-year-olds, because those 8 to 12-year-olds, that's when we start getting into some real content, right? So now parents are feeling like, I gotta be a teacher. Like this ain't about alphabets and writing, right? This is real stuff. I try to teach my kids. I don't know this new math. 2 + 2 don't equal 4 the same way it did when I was in school. And that is legit, because I don't know what kind of math. I don't know. I don't get it. So that was what they found. And in 2020, in October, they were saying like, hey, guys, everybody, hey, waving the flag. Listen, this is a problem. Just want to let you guys know we're in the midst of a crisis. If we don't do something about it, we're going to continue to go down this road, and it's going to continue to be a problem. So they just in this month, March of 2021, released another report. I actually just had this the other day. And it's Stress in America 2021. And this was from a survey in February, okay? And there were a number of interesting findings from this, and not anything that we'll be particularly surprised by, but when you think about it all together, you think like, this is where our stress is coming from and why self-care is so important for us to do. So how many of us, and you don't have to actually answer this, just think about it. How many of us actually delayed or canceled our health services, right? Even when we were able to go back. Now, some of us, we had to cancel because, the places weren't open. But even after they opened, people feeling like, okay, I'm not ready yet. I'm not going to deal with that, right? And then also being less physically active, right? Not having to walk from the parking lot at your job because you weren't going there no more. Not walking up those stairs or walking back and forth to the bathroom, right? And then of course, on top of less physical activity and canceling appointments, we saw that weight change they saw that weight change was significant, right? And that's for both weight loss and weight gain. So I'll take a moment to just have you take a look at this. excuse me, so in the middle, you see the groups which they're referencing. And I will draw your attention just for a moment to the very last line of essential workers who, and parents who have gained 50%, so they gained unwanted weight during this pandemic. But look at the number of pounds, right? That's 36 pounds, 38 pounds. We're not talking freshman 15 anymore, right? So that's a significant change on their heart. And on the other side, we see that some folks lost weight at 29 and 30 pounds. Okay. And then, of course, what did they find? Parents in particular. If you are a parent, parents' mental and physical health has been impacted. 75% of parents say they could have used much more emotional support. 32% received treatment from a mental health professional, and 24% were diagnosed with a mental health disorder since the start of the pandemic. Right, let that sink in. Now, for mothers and fathers, it's different, but this probably won't surprise you given the way we're socialized in America. Fathers didn't necessarily report problems in terms of, having or mental health issues or anything like that, but they reported on their behaviors. And if you notice the behaviors, they have problematic sleeping, unwanted weight gain, and more alcohol, using alcohol to cope with their stress. Okay. And then lastly, 1 in 4 essential workers was diagnosed with a mental health disorder since the start of the pandemic. And so that's similar to the numbers we saw for parents. Okay. Oh, and I forgot, for Black adults in particular, they were more likely to report concerns about the future. This is about, once we are able to kind of go outside, are people okay with kind of moving on? And all of these numbers, if you ask me, are very high, but Black folks were at the top of that list. All right, so what can you do? APA says these are the things that you can do, and these are the things that we always tell folks to do, right? So take a break from the news, find 3 good things at the end of each day, practice self-care, stay connected, and keep things in perspective. But I want you also just take a moment now, and if you have something to write with or your phone, I want you to just take a moment to think about those things. Pick 3 of the things on your to-do list that keep rolling over and don't get done, that have to do with you personally. Okay, meaning either the personal category, if the house category is personal, meaning like you live by yourself, then that's personal, right? Because that's not for anybody but you, right? But I want you to really think about those categories, and I want you to just take 1 minute to think about, how can I actually incorporate this into my daily life in a way that I'm going to continue to do it from this point forward? And I want you to write that down, write or type that down. I'm just noticing all of your comments. Yes, Carmel, over 60%. But so much illness is related to stress. It's crazy. All right, once you do that, here's what I want you to take away from this. The next time you think about your to-do list and you say to yourself, like, yeah, I should take better care of myself, but I don't. I want you to remember why it's important for you to take care of yourself, right? Because this is a preventative measure, but it also helps you in your desire to do for others. right? So if you want to do a good job at work, if you want to help your family, if you want to be engaged with your friends, then you've got to come from a place of feeling good or settled about what's going on for you. Because ultimately, life is not measured by the number of breaths you take, but by the moments that take your breath away. And my final question for you is, how you gonna win when you ain't right within? How is that gonna happen? Said the master lyricist, Lauryn Hill. We can't do anything else we can't do anything else well if we're choosing not to take care of ourselves. The lie we tell ourselves is that we are fine. Everything is okay. And as soon as I finish doing this host of other things for everyone else, then I'm going to take care of myself. So my challenge to you, whatever those 3 things were that you put on your list, before you do anything for anyone else, if it means you got to get up 10 minutes earlier, take that 10 minutes to work on those things. Schedule in your calendar another 10 minutes at some point during the day, right? Stop looking at this as whole tasks that are going to take hours at one time. Think about what are the increments of time that you can give up that are so minuscule in your day, they really won't impact it, but will be life-changing for you to be able to get those things on your to-do list done. That is what I have for you because I want to respect your time. Just remember, how you gonna win if you ain't right within?
Wonderful, wonderful, Dr. Rogers. Do we have anyone? Will you take some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm here to take
If you
questions.
have a few more minutes and you have questions for Dr. Rogers, please ask them, put them in the chat box.
Or you
This is
can
our
just
last
unmute.
session. Markeisha, did you have a question?
No, I was just applauding.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Rogers, in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions.
All right,
Well,
so why don't we have any questions? Are we still thinking? Because the fact that you're still on says something's happening for you, right? So what's up?
I can ask a question if that's okay. This is
Yes.
Glennis speaking.
Hi,
Glennis. So thank you for the presentation. I came in kind of late, but the topic of self-care and prioritizing yourself is something that I have been working on actively.
Mhm.
So what advice would you give to the person who finally does make time for self-care and prioritizing themselves, but still feels guilty and still waste that time by thinking about the things that you could be doing or aren't doing because you've
Mhm.
tried to make that space for yourself?
Right. So great question. And in the beginning, I talked about self-care being self-preservation, right? And self-acceptance being part of self-care, self-love being part of self-care. So part of dealing with the guilt is saying, like, in order for me to be able to do all of the other things that are on my list, I actually do need to take some time for myself. I actually do need to preserve my mental, physical, emotional, social well-being in order for me to be able to effectively do all the other things that are on my to-do list. Right? Because we all know, for instance, one thing that we can probably all relate to, you know, when you're really tired at night and you're trying to get that last thing done for work and it's taking you extra long and you feel a little slow because you're like, why is this so hard? Like, I don't even understand why I can't figure this out. And the reality is, if you just go to bed and you wake up the 20 minutes earlier instead of staying up 20 minutes later, you can probably finish that task, right? If you decide that I'm going to take care of my need right now, which clearly I'm tired and I need to go to bed, then when I wake up and I'm refreshed, I can actually get through that task much quicker, because now I'm not dragging on and just trying to, we play these games with ourselves where it's like we are in some sort of like struggle Olympics against ourselves, where we're like, oh my goodness, but I stayed up so late to do this. And we want to tell all of our friends, if you're this person, you know who you are, but you also know your friends that are this way, right? We all have these moments where we're like, oh my God, you know how long I stayed up to do this? Oh my goodness, I was working on this, and it's like, no, stop with the struggle Olympics. Go to bed, wake up, and take the time that you need to be rested so that you actually can spend half the time doing the task, because you actually feel a little more empowered to get through.